Hey, what's happening? Before we jump into the show, I wanted to see if you had any music on a hard drive. You have a band, you have a project, and you want to self-release your own music. Well, there's an easy way to do it. You can go to distrokid.com/VIP/hyphenate and go get your music up on all the streamers. You keep 100% of your royalties, and you can get 30% off by using this code. It's a great, easy way to get your music up on the streamers and share it with your fans, your friends, your family, your mom, your dog, everybody. Everyone wants to hear it. But go to distrokid.com/VIP/hyphenate, HYPHENATE, and send me the link. I want to hear it too. Send your mom the link. Send your dog the link. They all want to hear it too. We'd like to thank our sponsor, iZotope, the absolute leaders in intuitively designed plugins for audio restoration, mixing, and mastering. At iZotope.com, you'll find a plethora of tools and suites that will enhance your audio production, whether it's voice, video, podcast, or a full production recording session. Check out the industry-standard audio repair tool, RX11, or the multi-tool mixer plugin, Neutron 5, or the powerful Ozone 11 mastering suite, plus tons more. Go to iZotope.com and use the code FRET10 at checkout for 10% off. That's FRET10 to get 10% off at checkout. And again, the website is iZotope.com, IZOTOPE.com.
I had booked a show at the Smell, and then we're like, oh, it got moved to this other venue, and then they show up to our fucked up squat house, and they're like, this is not a venue, and I didn't know you had to give anyone any like water or food or like did we have a PA? I don't even remember.
What is happening? How's everybody doing? Thank you so much for tuning in to Hyphenate. I am your host, Randy Randall. Our month-long celebration of all things The Smell continues today with my very good friend, Mr. Dean Spunt. When reflecting on my time at The Smell in the early aughts, I would not be able to tell that story without telling the story of Dean Spunt and how he was part of my life and how we became fast friends and roommates and bandmates and have shared a long musical journey over the several decades that would lead to us creating the band No Age and releasing records and touring and sitting next to each other on planes and vans and sharing stages all over the world for years. But it all really, started at The Smell. I think we were introduced through a mutual friend about playing music together, and really met him officially. He was a guy that would hang out in front of cool shows and things, and was a cool guy and sold zines and stuff. And I think I was a little bit nerdier. And at least that's how I saw myself. I don't know if I was, however one sees themselves as a late teenager, early 20-year-old. But yeah, we started making music, and we played our first shows and early shows at The Smell. And he seemed to know Jim and seemed to know how The Smell worked and said, hey, we should go, we could probably play a show there. And my mind was blown. I remember, I had first gone to The Smell to see Mike Watt play in the 90s at the original location, and had gone to the new downtown location a number of times. But when Dean said it was just as easy as, talking to Jim and playing a show, I was just blown away. Like, whoa, that's crazy. I'd never would have, it was like saying somebody, it was like telling somebody, you're going to win an Oscar or something. Is how I felt at the time. I was so into music, and I wanted so desperately to be in a band and to play shows and to somehow be involved in the world of making music and playing live music, but just felt a million miles away from it. So Dean just saying, "Oh, let's play The Smell." He said it so casually, and to me, it was just like, "This is huge. This is everything I've ever wanted to do. It's happening." I feel like I could cry, had been remembering it, and and I had no idea at the time, first playing there, that we'd go on to play a lot of shows there, and it was a huge part of my life, and you really was that kind of first taste of sort of wish fulfillment, I think, in that kind of way of like, whoa, this is a venue and there's people here who I don't know. What are they doing here? Why are they looking at me playing music? Like, I wanted that, but also felt very uncomfortable and very nervous, but wanted it, but also didn't know what to do as it was happening. It was a lot of that high school sort of 20s things. Like, I want this thing, but I don't know what I'm supposed to do, but I know that I want it. So Dean was really the introduction of a personal life or a personal connection that I would go on to have, with anything to do with the smell. And, for me to tell the story, first talk to Jim, then talk to Anthony Berryman, and then I figured, I couldn't really tell the story of my time with the smell without talking to Dean and talking about his time with the smell, because I think without him, I would definitely not have had all the time and experience there, and would not know all the people, and wouldn't be here, probably wouldn't be doing a podcast. I don't know. I think Dean and I complimented each other a lot in those early days, and really brought out something in each other that maybe otherwise we wouldn't be doing on our own. There was something just crazy enough about he and I, like the things, I was missing he had, and the things he was missing I had, or we just were able to, really create a cool partnership in a creative, performative sort of way, where we egged each other on, and just enough just to be dangerous enough. And it's almost like daring your friend, like, well, I'll do it if you do it, kind of thing. Or just, like, oh no, just provoking each other enough that we pulled off some pretty outrageous stunts in our life, being a band for over a decade and putting out 6 full-length LPs, being one of those stunts. I still feel like, that the whole experience of whatever it is, if it was a musical career, is a musical career, it was still just me and Dean being two goofballs, 18, 19 years old, just, talking about what could happen, or what we wanted to happen, or wouldn't it be funny if, sort of things. I think that was a big propellant and a big motivator for a lot of our careers. Wouldn't it be funny if we did this? And then fast forward 6 months later, and here we are, on tour or on TV or just playing some crazy show or doing something insane. Meanwhile, the two of us are just giggling, like, this is so funny. Remember we thought we could do this thing, or we never would have thought we could do, whatever. But it was a trip. So this is a conversation. This is my second conversation. It's the first time I've had someone on twice. It would make sense. Dean and I have probably talked for more than 10,000 hours and have shared all the dumb stories of each other's lives. So I figured, at least we could have a second convo on the podcast, focusing on the smell and his experience there at the smell, to really tell my experience of my time and my era, or whatever, whatever the smell meant to me or means to me, and where I was introduced to that. It would come, through these conversations. So, here it is. My conversation with Dean Spunt of the band No Age, of the record label PPM, of the Dean Spunt experience. Go follow him on Instagram. It's at .govgov, DOTGOVGOV, I think is what he goes by. I should look. I haven't looked in a while. But you can also find his record label, Post Present Medium Records, online, and go buy some records. Support independent music. Why don't you? All right. Here it is. My conversation with Dean Spunt. Mr. Dean Spunt, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Very well. Good to see you. I think last time I saw you, I had a stinger popping out of my foot.
Yep. Foot in a bag.
Yeah.
Foot in a stingray bag.
Yep. So many people got confused because I think you posted your photo and then Shannon posted her photos of Six Flags. Like, wait, how did you get your foot stung at Six Flags? I've become the mysterious man of social media. Yeah, somehow. On Goliath, I got my foot stung and they put it in a bag. Um,
it was pretty wild.
yeah, I was not expecting that. That had never happened before.
Yeah.
But
But
yeah,
you handled it, man.
thank you. Well, like I think we're reminiscing of all the major physical ailments that have befallen me
Yeah,
as we're
yeah.
running down the list of other injuries that have happened. I'm like, oh yeah,
I know. I was
low,
trying to.
this is low on the list of injuries. What were you saying?
Yeah, I think I was telling Beth like Randy might be clumsy. I don't know. There's always
Yep,
something that it was always
could
like
be.
always something, or
Yep.
it's a test. Something's always happening.
I take it as a disregard for personal safety. I think in my youth, I think I was just living on
Yeah,
the edge,
yeah. You're
and
an
it
edge
wasn't
liver.
not gracefully living on the edge. I didn't have any kind of gymnastics training. I was living on the edge without any kind
Yeah,
of real sense of
that would
my
have been
body
good.
size or
Yeah.
shape or anything. Yeah, sometimes
Hmm.
we've been around people who are professional athletes, skateboarders, or things like this, and somehow when they do crazy things, they seem like pull it off, and even when they're hurt, it's not that bad or it doesn't look that bad.
Yeah.
I was never one of those people. The manual pad is going to take me out every time. It's not going to be
Yeah.
the stairs or the ledge or the thing. It's the little like, oh, let's just throw the board down on the way back to the car, and I just broke my arm.
I mean,
Yep, that was my life.
takes takes all kinds.
Shannon's always asking me to go roller skating with her. She's like, "Don't you want to do it?" I'm like,
It'll be the
"No,
death.
this is
Yeah.
not. This is. Do you know me? Have you seen
My
my life?
shoulder will pop out. My head will crack. I'm just not doing it.
I've done so less things that are very less exciting than that, and been hurt
Yeah.
immensely. So, um, anyway, I asked you on the today because last time we were promoting your record, you were the first multiple first multiple guest, multiple time guest of the
All
podcast. So I thought
right.
that seemed appropriate for the amount of time that
Yeah.
we've talked.
Hmm.
But this is Smell Month on the Hyphenate Pod. Thanks
Love
to
it.
my good friends Tim and Jeff Byron of the Macy for suggesting that I do more smell related content.
Oh,
Um, I thought it'd be fun to
shout
kick
out.
off the third year of the podcast with a smell themed month. And I couldn't really think about the smell without thinking about you. So I wanted to talk to you, Dean Spunt, and get the Dean Spunt
Smell.
account of the smell, the Dean Spunt smell.
It's been 3 years since you've done your podcast. That's
This
amazing.
is the start of the third year. Yeah,
Wow.
exactly.
Cool.
Yep. And when I started, I think I've given myself 4 years to figure out if I like it or not, or if it
Yeah.
works, or if it makes any sense to anyone else outside of me.
So you got
And
one more year
so
to
I'm at the
figure out.
halfway point. I'm
That's way
enjoying
fun.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been fun so far. Maybe we'll keep going. But I figured, might as well hit some of the touchstones of the Randy Randall story. Smell
Hmm.
being a big one of
Yeah.
them. But I would not have been as involved with the smell or have had as much time with the smell if it wasn't for you. How did you
Well,
first get involved with the smell? How did you first go to the smell? How did you come about this?
um, the first time I went to the smell, it was, I don't even know if it had really been open. I think they were just having a party. And
This was in North Hollywood on
this is in
Lancashire.
North Hollywood. Yeah.
Yeah.
It must have been a 98, 7 or 8. Maybe 7, 97. And I was hanging out at the mall up in Santa Clarita.
And Jim
And,
Smith rolled through the flyers. Looked cool.
no, it was actually Ara.
Uh-huh.
And Ara rolled through the mall. I didn't work at the mall, but my friend Travis, who I grew up
Yeah.
with, was working at Hot Dog on a Stick.
Nice.
And another girl worked there, and Ara and her maybe were dating or were friends. And I was just hanging with Travis while he was working, and Ara came around. I had seen him a few times because he was dating this girl or friends with the girl. I don't remember exactly, but he just said, "Yeah, well, hey, this place that me and my friends opened up. We're having a party tonight. You guys should come." And I didn't go with Travis. I think I went with another friend of mine. But it was like out of a scene it was like a movie. It was just like the people. It was dark and it was small, and they were playing cool music. And I mean, I was like 15 or something. So for me, and I was probably the youngest of the younger there, because this was, Aro was probably in his 20s, and Jarrett and Jim and Dave Stone was there, and
Of course.
So they're older and I was younger, but I was also, a little weird little punk rocker guy, shaved head and kind of just like, I mean, North Hollywood also seemed like the big city at the time to me. But the party was fun and it was just like different characters and different.
Was there a band playing? When you say a party, you mean it was like just like DJ or not? I guess when DJs just had music playing, but it wasn't really like there was bands. Okay.
No bands. No, just freaky people. But then I went again, and I don't remember. Eventually, I played there, maybe 2 years later, and I don't know if I went to it much after that first initial. I did. There was another party I went to there, but it took me a while to really talk to anyone that was older because they just seemed so much older too.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I didn't have a good sense of age or weight. And I know this because I worked at Magic Mountain right before that.
Okay, yeah.
And I worked in the games area, and they put me in the at one point I had to do the guess the age and weight part. And being like 15 or 16, it's like I didn't know if someone was 20 or 40 or 200 pounds or 100 pounds. So I would just guess. I just guessed horribly and have to give out gifts or prizes all the time. Like a 15-year-old kid, like, guess my age. I'm like, I have no idea. 45. Like, no, I'm 22.
There was no training. There was no onboarding for this job.
The way that job worked is like you did you took the money for the people that threw the ring on the bottles, and you can only work for like 45 minutes at each station, and they come and move you.
I see.
And this age and weight one was sort of, I think it was scaled up a little bit. Like, not everyone got to work it.
Okay. This was seen as you're doing a good job.
Yeah.
You can be public facing more.
But I sure
people.
Sucked that one.
That's hilarious. So everyone, you went to the smell and everyone was 300 pounds and
and 80
years old. Yeah. Okay.
You had no idea. But
I picture you like giving testimony to like a police officer, like, okay, there was a guy. Okay, well, how old was he? He was 8 years. Wait, was a grown man with a card.
48.
Yeah, 48.
Well, now I'm pretty good, but when you're a youngster,
sure.
But I just say that because everyone did seem older, and it did seem very cool. At
15, 16, everyone's pretty much older.
Yeah. If I zoom out, it's like, we're on Lancashire and Magnolia. We're in North Hollywood, and we're like 20 minutes from where I grew up. But it just, and everyone's only in their 20s. But it seemed like the coolest movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, there's definitely that feeling. I remember, I think I've told you the story, but I went to the Uphill Gardeners record release party at whatever used to be Madame Wong's or what was it called?
Al's?
It wasn't Al's. It was like a coffee shop. It was where Senor Fish is next to the Japanese American Museum. What was it called? Not No Name Cafe. I don't know. It was something down there. But anyway, yeah. But it was old people.
Was that where Zen's mom's place was?
Wasn't that called Madame Wong's? Or no? Or
gosh,
I don't know.
Brain, I'm still working on the coffee.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Atomic Cafe. Was that what it was called?
That's the Descendants song.
Okay. I'm just thinking of Descendants now. But anyway, yeah. But yeah, when you're young, when you're a high schooler and you see people in their 20s, maybe they're college age, and it's cool.
Well, Chinatown's a lot further, a lot deeper than North Hollywood.
Sure.
That probably had a whole extra cool, older vibe.
Yeah. Well, and Jarrett was passing out drinks, and I was definitely not of drinking age, but I was of drinking mindset, and so it was really fun drinking like cherry 7-Up and vodka at 16 at a cool thing. Wow. And I kept waiting for the band to play. I was like, what's happening here? And then they never played. They just listened to the record.
How did you hear about the Uphill Gardeners?
They opened a New Music Monday that Nels Klein did at the Alligator Lounge. So it was like free all ages Monday weird noise shows. Yeah. And I remember seeing Uphill Gardeners there. Because I also had the older brother and then the older brother friends contingent where I kind of got adopted by Mike Featherston and, the crew of weirdos in that world of stuff. So I got to go see some of those things. So I was used to being the little brother kind of tag along thing. But you went to the smell. And then do you remember the first band you saw there? Or did you book the show? How did you first? get to performing there?
That's a good question. I think one of the first shows I saw at the Old Smell was The Need, Rachel Karn's band and
Yeah.
radio band, The Need, and they played. I think they played with a local band called EXO,
Okay.
who
Yep.
were
I remember
like
seeing those
maybe more
stickers.
like, I
Yeah.
don't know if they're like twee pop, but it was more kind of maybe Riot Grrrl adjacent kind of stuff. I think that was I remember seeing that show, and I think that was before. It's all kind of blurry, um, but I remember the show that stood out the most is when I was at CISA at Cal Arts, and I snuck out to go see Melt Banana from Japan play at the Smell, and the Locust played. I don't remember who else, but
This was the Lancashire one. This was the Old Smell.
Lancashire one,
Wow.
yeah. And
How
it was
wild is
like,
that?
it was, I mean, we're talking about the Lancashire Old Smell, but I don't know, we should talk about the capacity. It was really small.
10?
It
I
was
mean,
like
legal
a
capacity would
narrow,
be.
it was sort of just a storefront, but it was like two storefronts that had been split in half because I think next door was like a beauty salon or something.
Oh, maybe
So
there was
there's
the Eagle.
that was down a little bit, but
Okay.
it's like it was really narrow and
Mm.
long. So I mean, if you had 50 people in there, it would have felt really packed. This show that I went to, the Melt Banana one, I mean, I remember seeing them play briefly, but that also mostly just being outside because I don't know if you could even really get in comfortably. But
And there
that
was no
was
stage, so if there was 5 people
no,
in front of you, you couldn't see
yeah.
anything, and it was just
Mhm.
crazy. Did you ask the folks from Melt Banana about that, or did you bring that up when we did those last shows
I don't
with
think
them?
I did.
Okay,
Yeah, I
and
kind of just
language
remembered
was sort of
as we
tough.
talked about it.
Yeah.
But I liked Melt Banana and I do remember feeling like, wow, Melt Banana's coming, and they're coming to the Smell because the smell didn't feel like our place yet.
No,
Like
yeah.
um, when we got really involved, I was still sort of just young and seeing shows there, but I had seen probably, I don't know, 4, 5 shows, 6, and I had played there, so it kind of felt like home, and it was the closest thing to where I grew up. So. Um, but yeah, those were some of the early shows. I think I saw Red Monkey, who were from England. I saw them play early on. And I saw some crazy stuff. I don't really remember the name of it, but more of the, I think of the like Nels Klein world you're talking about too, that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of had the feel. I mean, I remember, and even when I went to downtown, it was definitely felt like coffee shop, kind of bohemian, Bukowski sort of like,
Yeah.
it had this feeling of like you could see kind of poetry or
Yeah.
spoken word things happening, and then maybe
Hmm.
a guy with like a violin or something, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Or just it wasn't necessarily going to be like a rock and roll sort of punk rock kind of thing. It's
No.
kind of the late 90s. So an underground LA culture of the late 90s was I don't know, I want to say almost like Victorian or something.
Yeah.
A mix between
It
like
kind of was.
50s, coffee shop Bukowski meets like girls in like Victorian baby doll dresses or something. And, it wasn't
Was
quite the
that only
handlebar.
LA? Was that just how?
I don't know. I
Yeah.
wasn't involved in underground
Yeah.
culture in other areas in the 90s and the late 90s. It was just kind of what you saw, but it sort of felt like it's thrift store, but not like skateboard thrift store. It was like intellectual thrift store fashion.
I
Some
think
sort.
I think maybe because we came from a little out of the city and because we were into skateboarding when we were younger and like still into it, but not really like that into it. But it's like that. I think that was definitely like nobody looked like they skateboarded at all.
Yeah,
It was
exactly.
like
Yeah.
nobody, all the shoe, you're like, you couldn't skate in those shoes. Like our shoes, you probably could, but those were like, everyone was wearing like boots or yeah, like loafers or
Dress
something.
shoes or something. Yeah.
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 And
Yeah.
I think
And that
that
was a
I remember
big
feeling like that.
marker of
But
culture
also,
at the
but I
time.
think that was also like, yeah, we're adults.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
We're listening to chamber music or whatever, and we're smoking cigarettes
yeah.
and yeah. So I think
very
that
college. Yeah.
yeah. Um, yeah, but it definitely it definitely felt like a place that was exciting then for me, and also just like I think also my parents were cool with me going. My dad grew up in North Hollywood, so like he's like, yeah, it's just easy. I could just go there all the time. It seemed not like a big
It
deal.
didn't trigger him. Yeah. Um, and then
No, but yeah, they were just like, oh
from
yeah, NoHo, go ahead.
and then when it moves to downtown, then that changes. Does that also coincide with you moving out and now living in Hollywood, or
Kind
when did
of.
you first go
I think
downtown?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah.
I first went downtown before it was open, and I went to take a look at it because I think I was asked. I was asked by the guys at Buddyhead to book a show, or if I could book a show there. I think they had said, "Don't you know the guys from the Smell?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it moved." And I went downtown, but I had no phone and no cell phone, and no one had email. So I just like went. I found the address and went, and it was at night, and nobody. It wasn't open, but I knocked on the door, and somebody came to the door, like this
Mel.
Victorian. No, it was like one of these people you described, like someone that was
yes.
really like with some suit coat and
a vintage thrift
leather
store,
shoes.
like button up with like big.
They were smoking. Like, hello.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, is this the Smell? Yeah, but we're like built. I don't think it was Mac, but it was that kind of vibe.
I got you.
It was like, we're building it out, it's like almost done. I'm like, okay, I don't even know if I knew Jim's name yet. I'm like, okay, cool. He's like, well, it should be done in like a few weeks. I'm like, oh, okay. So then I think I went back in a few weeks. There might have been a show. I talked to Jim, and then I was able to book a show there. But really, like when it first opened, like I don't even know if there was a PA. I think I helped them book a show, and I think they had to bring in their own PA. And the show was like,
you booked a show for Buddyhead, or for
I booked a show. Yeah, I didn't
or,
have anything to do with the show, but I put them in touch, and it was like the Icarus line, and like fuck some other bands that I don't know. I can't remember all the names of the bands, but I do remember feeling like those vibes weren't correct. Like these people I knew from over here and these people I knew from over here didn't really gel. And I don't know if they did another show there. Mm-hmm. But I think at that show, there was a lot of people, and maybe Jim was like, oh, cool. You want to book more shows? I don't know if it was because there was a lot of people, but I didn't, it had nothing really to do with me except I connected the two. But I did end up booking shows. And one of the next shows I booked was us playing there. Wow. I imagine. Because
was it 2001? Yeah, 2001 was our first. I think the other band's first show.
Yeah, this might have been 2000, but
yeah.
But maybe I booked some stuff before then. But yeah, the downtown one definitely was a whole different world, It was like I had never been to that part of downtown, I don't think. And it was, and the new space was, it was huge. It was enormous feeling.
Compared to the last one, it was so tiny, like a storefront.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rooms just kind of kept going and going and going too. You never really knew, like, am I supposed to be back here? That all sort of felt like off limits or something. It definitely felt okay. Now I'm going through these like French doors. Now there's another room.
The French doors
the main
were cool.
room wasn't. Yeah, but that's kind of where shows would happen. In that room
normally.
And then, but then there was the giant backstage, which was like the size of the main room now. It didn't really.
It was set up kind of. It seemed like it was quickly set up, and then the sound man Mel came from North Hollywood, and he was real eccentric.
Mel at the Smell.
Yeah, but downtown at that time, really in that area, was just, it felt lawless. Like it was just like
it was.
I think you were just in that building and you were out front. People were smoking or whatever, but it was like you kind of stayed there. I don't think anyone cared what you were doing as long as you weren't like doing drugs outside or something. Even then, I guess they didn't care about that.
Yeah. But I remember like Smokey was the guy that would watch your car or for $1 or not break into your car for $1.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch your car with big quotation marks if you pay me. And if you don't pay me, I'm going to break into your car.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of those characters, and I think they all kind of they liked it. They liked the Smell because it brought in different clientele every night. And then, people who are probably, I don't know, more sympathetic perhaps
than the normal downtown denizens.
And
Yeah.
but at that point, downtown wasn't even a destination for. I don't. I mean, Olivera Street wasn't far. Little Tokyo wasn't far, but like
But in terms of shows or nightlife or that kind of thing, it
nothing.
was a
There
new
wasn't.
idea. Yeah,
It seemed like
the
it.
late '90s, early 2000s. Yeah, I think there was a lot of, but it's what made it fun though too. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
and the kind of dangerousness, but it was just, just enough there. I brought that up to Jim when I talked to him, and he's like, well, this dangerousness, he's like, my job is to kind of keep everybody safe. He's like, you keep bringing up how dangerous it felt. He's like, it should,
Yeah, but
maybe it felt
You
dangerous,
moved.
but we try to keep it really safe here. Like he wanted to emphasize the safety of it all. I was like, okay, Jim, I know, but
I know, but we were also like,
the
whatever,
perception of,
16, 17,
yeah,
18, and you moved an all ages club to the middle of Skid Row. Like,
it felt, yeah.
it felt
No,
dangerous.
nothing has ever happened to me in there or by there or around there. So,
No, I mean, I remember someone pulled a gun once. I mean, I saw, and
yeah.
people had knives and stuff.
Yeah.
You'd hear stuff, people would run out.
Daniel always
But
had a machete in his pants.
as safe as they tried, it's not like there was never a security guard.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's
The
kind
door
of
was
Jim
always
and to the degree.
open.
Yeah.
There was never and it's kind of amazing there were never really problems.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it moved downtown, and I was booking. Yeah, so I booked a show or two, and then I would frequent shows there. Like I saw whatever shows were coming through, and then it seemed like because when it was in North Hollywood, there were some shows like I said, Melt Banana and those kind of things. When it moved downtown, I think the more of those type of shows, like the DIY hardcore punk touring network, toured through a lot. So I saw a lot of those kind of shows, and then I saw a lot of local kind of like hardcore punk kind of shows mixed with the old stuff that we were talking about, like the Uphill Gardeners, Godsick Pink, Nels Klein, kind of
the centimeters.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it was such a great, I mean, at some point we just went there I feel like we went there every single night,
Yeah. 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 I mean, what did you like other venues, or was there a sense like what, it's hard. I think you and I have talked so much about this, and I think we have shared experiences, but I think, for the purposes of the interview versus, just a conversation, like why was the smell different, or how was it different? And I mean, you know what I mean? Was it a thing? Like, did you try to book shows at other clubs? Did you think of yourself as a booker, or was there something unique about the smell that sort of facilitated this thing that for people that aren't, as intimately familiar with it?
Yeah, I didn't really book many shows. I booked the one down there, and then I booked a couple, but I don't think I really tried to book anywhere else because there was nowhere else to book for the stuff that I was listening to. I tried to book I tried to play at the PCH Club when I was in a band in high school, and like I think Alex was like, "Yeah, okay, come down and bring a demo," and we didn't have a demo, and it was like really far,
Yeah.
so that just didn't happen. And I think because the smell was in North Hollywood and I felt comfortable and I already knew the people a little bit, I think when it became time to book a lot of shows, when we started playing as Wives, I think that that also coincided with booking more shows because I think we were playing and I was seeing shows. So it just became like, it all kind of happened at the same time. I started booking a lot, but I think when it was time to book shows for Wives, it was like, oh, the smell. Oh yeah, the smell. I know those guys. So it'd be totally easy. I don't even know. Yeah, like what else? And there weren't many venues. There weren't many venues around that I feel like we could have played. Like the
We
Knitting
played
Factory.
Arts in Action.
Yeah, and that was
like
through the anarchist type people that I knew. But I think the Knitting Factory.
Oh right,
came
the Hollywood
later.
one. Yeah.
The PCH Club might have closed down already when we started playing. So, but it just felt like the smell. I really thought it was really cool too. It felt really cool, and it was very open. like you could do anything. And I think that was the vibe they facilitated. Like, and we were kind of a punk band, and that wasn't what was really going on there in the local scene, but
Mm.
it felt like that was okay to explore, and they were just down to have whatever as long as you showed up. So I appreciated the openness of the smell.
I remember, yeah, when we first, I think we practiced and wrote for probably a year with Wives. And then you were like, we should play a show with the Smell. And to me, it was just like, that's unfathomable. Like I had my kind of suburban experience was I would go to shows, I would play in bands, and we would maybe play a house thing or a school thing, but there was
Yeah.
never really like the bridge from being a kind of teenage garage band to playing places always felt uncomfortable and always felt weird and strange. And then so when you were like,
Yeah.
we could just play there, and I had gone there, but then the idea of playing there was like, this is huge in my mind. Then I remember
Yeah.
playing the show, and it felt huge, and it was like, this is the best thing ever. And I think it lit a fire under me of like, wow, okay, we're a real band now. Like we have songs. We played a show at a legitimate venue where I've seen other bands play. Like, this is crazy. Like what else? Nothing can stop us now. This is
Yeah.
it's a huge experience.
But I guess that isn't even a show that I booked. I think I just saw the show and said, "Can we play?"
Oh, I see.
Like it was Orth Realm
Right,
and Dave Stone and Fast Forward. I think it was already on whatever. I don't know how they listed shows back then, or if I just asked Jim what shows are coming up, and then I asked if we could, play first or whatever.
Yeah.
So I didn't book that show, but
I see.
I think you always need like a crummy local to start the night.
Let that be a lesson to anyone out there. If you are a crummy local band, most venues need you.
Yeah.
to play at 7 or 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
The doors open. Yeah.
It is interesting though, but I think the confidence I had then of just booking or playing there probably comes from that it was a very organic experience where I got introduced to it by a party from the guy at the mall. Felt very safe. I went to a party, and then I played there in a band in high school. Then it moved, and I kind of knew them. And then I'd already been going, and it felt really, and I, unlike, like we've talked about this before too, but I didn't really see that many shows. I'd seen everything I had seen up to that point had all been very DIY stuff. Like I never went to concerts. I never saw, I went to the Forum. So this was the kind of, and I knew that stuff existed. I just never was able to do that stuff. So it was just like, that's all I really knew. And I think because the smell was very familiar, like I said, I tried to book at the PCH club. It didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and yeah, I mean, Santa Barbara was far. There were punk shows happening there, I guess. But I think once we played there, I remember you were excited. I remember the drummer was also like, I remember him saying, this smells like not cool or something, like, and I didn't understand that because I'm like, I think it's cool, but it's also there.
Right.
Like,
what more do you need it to be?
Like it's there, and Jim said, "Yeah,
you
can book a show here." Like it did feel like it felt like an open-ended. It was just there. It existed to do whatever, because we had seen so many different types of shows there. Like, why couldn't you have an odd punk band play?
Anything could work. Yeah, I remember going to see Gene Defcon of K Records fame there on Halloween, and nobody was there. But I remember just thinking it was the coolest show. It was just so fun. And again, which is probably the closest thing, to more DIY sort of thing. But I remember he asked like, "Oh, could we like crash on your floor?" And I was like staying at my girlfriend's house at the time. And it was her and her roommate. And she was like, "Yeah, no, we're not going to have 7 smelly, strange boys come stay over here." So I was like, "Oh, sorry guys." They said no. I'm like, okay. But I was just like, I don't know. This is fun. This was cool. Like, this is the smell. This is something different.
And I think like right around that time when we started playing, we became part of that DIY underground touring network where the next time we played somewhere, we're going to ask that same question. Can we stay on your floor? And I know I was all like, it was something that I was aware of, and I was actively trying to, like, I wanted to go tour. I was like, I just want to go. I want to leave town, and just go drive around. And yeah, I think the smell also, I think it helps put that in context for the rest of where we were going. Because it was like, we saw those bands come through. Yeah, you'd hang out, you'd play, they'd stay. And then you're like, it's like, you just want to bring that energy with you wherever we were going, it felt like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think in so many ways, for me personally, it was that feeling like it was the gold standard or the low standard of what everything should be as good. Yeah. It was the high and the low. Like everything should be as good as the smell it is to work with. And it can never sound
Shouldn't be worse.
It could never, sound worse or like be, it just sort of, it was the watermark for so many things about live music. And I think, I often attribute my guitar playing or the guitar sound, why was it so loud, is like, because I was trying to be as loud as the drums sounded in that big room of the smell. You know what I mean? It was the kind of thing where I was like trying to figure out like, okay, if it can sound good at the smell, it should sound good anywhere.
Why did it really sound that bad? I feel like it's always
the live room
always said that.
Yeah, now is different.
When we were younger, like we didn't even. I don't know.
Have any ears. It was great.
Fine,
it's a big mess. I think it's a big cavernous room. I think now, there's a powerful PA in there, which kind of works, but also there's no treatment in the in the room. So again, but I don't think that I've never been to a club and been like, I'm here because this PA is great. I'm a big fan of this PA equipment. They have, whatever. They have acoustics, here. This is going to be a wonderful concert. So you go for the bands.
We got,
you know what I mean? The talent is what brings you in. But in terms of bad sound at the smell, I mean, I guess I did sound there. I was the front of house guy for many shows.
Did sound, yeah.
I did people would complain. And I'd go, so I think I was like, oh, sorry. This is
bands would complain, or the people would be like,
the band. We would try to do sound checks, but I also didn't know what I was doing. You know what I mean? I chalk it up to me just being a shitty sound guy too, and learning things. I think as much as the experience of the sound quality of the smell, there's I think several factors. There's the room is, concrete walls, the floor is concrete, and it all bounces around. It sounds like a big echo. But it also the front of house board is run by volunteer children who don't really necessarily have years of experience of even under the best circumstances making something sound good. So you put them in a big bouncy room with no experience.
They learn pretty quick.
Or you do the best you can. I feel like that's what I understood was like, here's how to get things loud without feeding back. That was always the trick.
That's why the smell was so cool, because I think the general rules just didn't apply. I think because Jim didn't give a shit about stuff like that. Like, we're a club, but we should be like a club. It's like he was more interested in having someone like you learn how to do sound to benefit you for the rest of your life. Than like hiring a professional
our friend
sound
Scott Cornish, you know what I mean, who would get the experience and go
on now,
a world touring, sound professional.
Or allowing us to book a show so we can go play shows, and now we've played all over the world. But I think those, and he wasn't gatekeepery, he wasn't closing stuff off. It was really like, it was, because I think it was a venue, but it also was so much more of like, for me, someone who avoided college, it felt like it really did feel like school, in the best sense of the word.
The life experience, skills.
We worked, we critiqued, we tried stuff out, we failed, and we lived, and then we graduated.
You're right. I guess it is a performative or experiential sort of art school, schooling idea of some of those rubrics, like you're saying, like create things, critique, and then refine. And then
it felt like
and show and things what you're doing. Yeah,
and it felt like I was also taking classes at Santa Monica College right when we were practicing and starting to play a lot, art classes. And I think they were definitely like, I was taking the bus from Hollywood all the way to Santa Monica, take these classes, and then like that night I'd go all the way back to the smell, and we'd play, we'd practice. And I think those two things, I was like, this is cool, but the smell over here just seems more immediate and cooler. And we're doing all this already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think that's what's so important. That just, it's now from the perspective as fathers ourselves. You know what I mean? When I think about our children and how they'll learn, or what their experiences will be in life, and what using my life as an example. It's like I learned a lot by just doing things. You know what I mean? I had a formal education, but it wasn't
Yeah.
as nearly as impactful, like in terms of my day-to-day use, the things I still use to this day. It was, the experiences of volunteering at the smell and playing at the smell, and just general like behavioral stuff, like be cool, put your hand out, say hi, and say, what can I do to help? All these kinds of things. You know what I mean? Like those work on a day-to-day basis, just as coming from an immature, teenager to then a kind of a young man who can operate independently in the world. It was like, cool. All right. Yeah. You learn a lot of that stuff by, I guess it's first jobs, but the smell never really felt like a job as much, you know what I mean? But I guess that's what most people would do. Like, oh, I had this job and I made all my mistakes there.
Yeah. But it also felt like we were able to explore all these ideas. And if you put in work, you'd get that back tenfold. And there was it was such a anarchistic type experience where there was no committee, there was no ruling board, there was no one except Jim. But Jim, literally was just he would just, the way he'd be there to support. And I think that's where it differs from a lot of other places, and why it never felt like you what you put in, you get out. If you work hard, it's like it helped. I don't know if it was just like a mirror. It's like a reflection of just our hard work.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like, there was no staleness in I don't know. Cause we travel so much, we'd see other places where they're like government sanctioned or something, that are like, we're also an all ages venue for the DIY. And I think that's cool. And the smell just was not that. It was just a space to just explore. And that was just a really, I think as we get older, and I realize how unique that this space is too. There wasn't a lot of places like that. We thought maybe that's what it was all like. You go, oh, wow. Keep coming back and go, it's still going like that.
I think there's something about it. When I talk to Jim, I try to get it to, try to get at it in the sense of like, there's no ego. Like this isn't the Jim Smith show. Like you don't do this for accolades, for this isn't like, doesn't feel as though this is to glorify himself and his work or his, he's somehow able to keep it community oriented and community goal oriented. Yeah. It's not his thing, which it seems like it's an anathema. It seems like the opposite of whatever Jim's about, that he would do it as himself. But I think often cases, you tour around and such and such promoter puts his name on the top of the flyer, bigger than the band's, and you're going to the promoter show at the promoter venue kind of thing. This is for his production, that was never Jim's thing. But I think what that also did was led by example and kind of showing that you do this not for your own sort of, I guess just in the sense of so many people, we've talked to people who have learned a lot and have gone through the smell sort of experience, and it doesn't necessarily, I don't know, it gives them the experience that they need or to go on and do other things. Other places where it's not about and then I ran the smell and I was so cool and I learned how to put myself first and fuck over my friends, and this was really how it all worked. It's the opposite of cool. Because I guess the way I got to that thought was we've gone to venues where there's nothing like being mad dogged by a 14-year-old when you're 25 and this 14-year-old, what's up? We're like, oh, I'm here for the show. Oh yeah, who are you? I'm well, I'm the band. I'm here to play. Oh, okay, I guess. You're like, what the fuck was that? But whoever, when Jim has volunteers or people that are there, it's like, hey, how you doing? Here for the band. Okay, cool. Here's where you're at. Here's what this happens. Let me see your hand stamp, or let me do this thing where it's about running the show. It's not that sort of shit rolls downhill. The guy at the top is a turd and then he treats everybody badly. And then that eventually goes to the band and to the audience.
Well, you haven't talked to Anthony yet. So let's see.
Yeah. But you know what but I think there was this feeling that like, it's, you treat everybody fair, and then that's how everyone gets, that happens from the top down. Everyone's treated fairly and expected to, we're doing this because we want it to be good for the community.
But and fair, and that idea works. I mean, from the very inception of the Smell, or the way that the bands are paid. And I always thought the 70-30, I don't know if we could get into the brass tacks, but the 70-30 split, I mean, after touring, it's just like an unheard of amount that the Smell would give the artist 70% and only keep 30%. It doesn't really work like that in most places, So it's just set up for the bands to keep working hard, and the Smell to exist just enough not to make money really,
right,
to stay open, to help us, and I think it goes back, when I think about that, when we first started playing, and I thought of the Smell as a place that we could be a part of, and it could help us, and we can help each other. I think like during the pandemic, they were open kind of, and I think some shows would happen, some are getting canceled, but for the most part, they were pretty open. And I was, money wasn't coming in very much, and I had the thought where I'm like, the Smell, right? The Smell. What? Can I play shows? No, like I just started making burritos and selling food at the Smell. And I asked Jim if I could, because I was like, I need to make like $40 tonight, And he's like, sure. So I was selling burritos there, and it was just that it was like that mentality. I don't know anywhere else where that would be accepted or championed, where Jim's like, hell yeah, serve vegan burritos very cheaply to people, and I can make a little bit of dough. Like, I really am happy for a place like that.
It's incredible. Yeah, I mean, I've taken my oldest son to the Smell a few times to see shows, and he asked like, well, what do I do here? And like, where do we, because he didn't really know who the bands were, but I was like, oh, this will be fun. It's, there's younger bands, they're like, teenagers, and he and I was like, well, you could volunteer, like ask Jim what you can do, if there's anything he needs help with. And Jim was like, oh, you could like work the snack bar. And so my son would sell waters for $1, but then he got tipped. There's like a little Godzilla with like a plastic cup that says tips on there, and he got to split the tips with whoever else was there, or I think sometimes he did it with other people, or we did it by himself, and it just blew his mind. He loved it. You know what I mean? Taking $20 home, or $10, like single dollar bills, like just huge. It was so fun for him, and then it was fun because then I could just sit with Jim at the front desk and then like look over at him like, you doing fine? Like, yeah, he was doing great. And then but it got him using math, like things for his age, it's like he's got to break a 20 for a $1 bottle of water, and then do all this stuff in his head and be nice and make eye contact, and it's like basic kind of kid skills, and he loved it. He always asks, Dad, when we go back to the Smell, you got any more of that Smell show, Dad? Anything happening there? Should we go? He would get a taste for it. So,
I mean, hey, that's the spectrum of that place,
Yeah. Yeah, it's incredible. Well, we should wrap up in just a few minutes, but I did want to touch on there has come up a few times in talking about the Smell that there was a time after the great hair metal band Great White in Providence, Rhode Island, where their pyrotechnics caused a fire in Rhode Island, and nationwide DIY venues came under scrutiny, and the Smell was shut down for a time, and shows were moved to a place where you lived. What was your experience like doing that, or how was that now going from booking a venue to then kind of helping the venue, distribute the shows, or running the show yourself from your house? It
was interesting. I lived in this kind of squatted building in Hollywood that was like, it was a furniture store in the bottom, and then this like 1/4 of a city block open, apartment on top that had all these rooms in it. And at the time I was a bike messenger, and I didn't have a place to live, and I met these guys, and they invited me to live at this house. And I think within the first week, I was like, hey, can we have a show? This is before the smell thing happened. And they're like, sure. So I don't know. I had some bands play. I think Miki Miko played there and Bar played. So there'd been a precedent for a few shows there. So I think when the smell had to move operations and there was already a bunch of shows booked when they got the notice they had to shut down. I don't remember if Jim asked me or if I offered, but it just seemed to make sense. And it was, so then at the same time, a month or two into this house, I'm like, hey, can we have a lot of shows here? And I think most people were happy about it. There was one guy that lived there that I didn't really even know. And I don't even think we asked this guy. He had his own separate kind of door to his room. But it was it was interesting because we had bands like Hella or something.
Joan of Arc.
Maybe not Hella, but Joan of Arc. Maybe a band like Joan of Arc who had booked a show at the Smell, and then we're like, oh, it got moved to this other venue, and then they show up to our fucked up squat house, and they're like, this is not a venue, and I didn't know you had to give anyone any like water or food or like did we have a PA? I don't even remember,
Marcus's PA.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
I remember Tim showed up, Tim Kinsella. I was out front and he pulled up and I'm like, hey, this is it. And he like kind of opened the van, slid the little minivan door open and was just like, oh, fuck. And I'm like, yeah, you come up these stairs. And I remember he seemed kind of bummed, but then we went out. He told me this. I don't really remember, but we went out and had veggie burgers or something. I somehow won him over and he's like, this is going to be great. And they had a great show at this fucked up house. But there was a lot of shows there. And I mean, that idea too, that Jim wouldn't just cancel the shows. It was just like, let's move them.
Yeah.
It was a good experience. It was a lot, but it takes a lot to, I mean, we were having shows every night and like, I also just lived there and it was a lot, I don't think I'm that person. I thought I was. I could be the guy. I always wanted to be the person that lived at a venue, I guess.
Yeah.
I tried to live at the Smell downtown for a little bit.
But you also booked shows at Vegan Express. This was not your first time booking shows. So from probably first booking shows at the Smell, and then you've developed a taste for the DIY show booking at obscure locations.
You're right. Yeah, I worked at this little vegan restaurant, but I might have booked a show. That first Smell show and the first Vegan Express show were probably around the same time. I don't know which came first, but yeah. Okay. But the Smell had a PA. Like the Vegan Express, you thought I would have learned, but by Vegan Express there was also no PA, no mic stand. I remember that band Vaz played. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, Vaz? Former members of Hammerhead.
Yeah, right? They played and they were like, I remember they were like, do you have a mic stand? I'm like, no.
Huh?
So they duct taped their microphone to the metal bars that were on the window, and they just sang into that. And I was like, "That's cool."
Yeah.
But I mean, fuck, I didn't. I don't know. I just wanted to see music. The other stuff I just didn't really think about. I hadn't toured yet, really, so I didn't even think that I don't know, that you need a mic stand. But yeah, you learn.
Yeah, I mean, we've done a lot of shows like that in our bands and our various and still to this day we'll play.
God damn, you still, I know.
I mean, it's the nice kind of thing. Again, it's the high bar and the low bar. It's like this all works. You know what I mean? It's all and I think that's valid in the same kind of way. You know what I mean? That doesn't having a security guard does not make your venue better. Having a good PA does not make your venue. Having a mic stand does not make a better show.
But it makes you a better person because you have to work through it to make the night work. And you go, okay, we'll just tape it to the window. Or, like the 14-year-olds doing sound, but they're learning, and that's really cool.
Yeah,
there's vegan burritos, and they're cheap, and they're not going to give you diarrhea.
Hopefully, maybe. Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean it's a life-changing thing, for me and for you as well. You know what I mean? I think it's hard to put into
100%.
perspective, and that's why I think I joke even with the good Byron brothers suggesting I do a smell theme show. I was like, but every show's a theme show. Like I wouldn't be doing any of this shit.
Right,
No
right.
one would know what a Randy Randall is if there was not for the smell. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
think that was
Hmm.
it was the opportunity and the time, that we were able to, to make a name for ourselves or for anyone to, I mean, I think we did things in a way that will forever be part of my creative journey and my story. So for me to even think about like, well, let me talk about the smell for a month, but I have to be aware of the passage of time and things. And no one knows that really, unless you tell those stories, unless you
I
share that
know.
stuff, as much as it feels like, well, here's how it works. Air is is in the sky, dirt's in the ground, like these are just basic facts. Like, yes, I grew up playing music at an all ages space called The Smell. I've done interviews about it. It's on the Wikipedia page, or was at some point, or you know what I mean. Like I feel like it's been documented. However, to get the opportunity to tell that story firsthand, it's probably important to somebody, or at least
I think
set the
it's
record
important.
straight, or at least give a character to it.
I think so, because I think the smell definitely, there was a life before us and there's a life after us when we were there. So it's important to
Sure.
put into context. And I feel like, I guess when you're at that age, like it's all happening, but there was the Victorian era before,
Yes.
you know, and there was the post whatever. Like,
Moses Campbell era after.
yeah. And that just, yeah, like
And then there was been 6 different eras after that. That's the hardest part to believe is like,
I haven't,
I,
yeah, I don't know any of this stuff, but it's still
yeah,
there. And it's amazing that the Jim, books allows people to book. I mean, Jim doesn't book. Jim's not a
yeah,
booker. Jim's not a
right.
booking person.
Yeah.
I remember he'd always be like, "Oh, well, you just kind of book your own shows here. You email me and let me know, or I give you the go ahead if it's possible, but like I don't do any promotion. He doesn't. There's no promotion on his
Yep.
end,
He's not a
except
promoter.
I think he posts the flyer you make now on Instagram. But before that, maybe it used to be in the LA Weekly, but beyond that, he doesn't put posters up. It's your job. You do everything,
Yeah.
and that I think can really make you feel empowered or frightened
Mm-hmm.
or both at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, I've helped friends, book shows at the Smell and nobody shows up. And they're like, wow, I thought this would mean
It's still
something. The guy from No Age booked a show at the Smell. Wow. Okay, here we go. Now I'm
tell
going to
me
get signed
about
to,
it. I
I'm
know.
going to get signed to Sub Pop. Let's go. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. I mean, the
Oh, you
show's
can't
here.
drink alcohol here? Fuck this place.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, we're always lucky for the Jalisco next door.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like, yeah, it's such an incredible story and it's amazing it's gone as long as it has. And, whatever the future will be. I mean, it's been such a moving force in my life. So if I can document it in any kind of way or sort of share that experience for whatever it's worth, it's hard. I think I remember feeling like, wow, okay, this Smell's probably going to get shut down at any point here. DIY venues don't really last as long as this. I
How
mean,
long has it
I
been?
was saying that like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I
I
mean, he's
think he
almost
was
coming up.
saying that it was supposed to get, it's getting
Yeah.
closed down.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's almost coming up, I think 97 or
30,
98, right? So
30
it's
years.
almost into the 30s. So the high 20s now. Wild. I mean,
That's
Jim
crazy.
Jim is a powerhouse and has done a lot for the community. And again, it's hard to put into perspective just the totality of it all. And but for a city like Los Angeles and a creative sort of community that Los Angeles has, and just sort of creating those safe spaces for alternate voice. And it doesn't, you can get into the bigger sort of scheme of
Yeah.
things. I mean, you and I were white kids from suburbia. The world
Yep.
was not as threatening to us as it is to a lot of other people, or still even to this day. You know what I mean? The
Yep.
types of communities that are able to find, a safe space and protection and a platform to voice their art and express themselves. It's huge.
Yeah.
Beyond stuff that's even whatever, I would be considered, within my scope of experience. I think it's incredible. I appreciate it for all those
Yeah.
things too. Cool, man.
Shout
Well,
out.
big ups. What else is going on? PPM Rex. I had Kyle Parker on the podcast recently.
Oh, how was Kyle? Good.
He was great. Yeah. He had the
Yeah.
10-year anniversary for his
Yeah.
Infinite Body
Carve
record
out
on
the
PPM.
face of my God. Yeah.
Wow. I
Yeah,
always felt
he
like
played.
it was like carve my face on God's face or something. I could not remember the title. I was like, it's something gnarly
It's a
about
long
God's
one.
face. God's carving a God face. Fuck.
Carve
This is
out
so
the
gnarly.
face of my God. Yeah, I don't know
Okay,
where that. Did he ask him where that's from? I don't remember where that's
No.
from.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, we just had an anniversary of 10 years since that record came out, and
What year is
oh,
PPM
15
going on?
years. I'm sorry, 15 years.
15 years. Wow. What is the anniversary of PPM?
PPM
Are
started in
you almost at 30
2001, so
years?
no,
2001. So you're
25, almost 25.
25.
Next
Wow.
year's
Next
25.
year. Wow. There you go. You're going to do a big celebration?
Yeah.
You're going to do a takeover casino in Las Vegas and
I'm
have
working
all the
on
bands play? Stadium?
the bicycle casino in Commerce. Is that the one in
There's a
Commerce?
there's a
They
bowling
changed the
alley
name,
in the
right?
valley. I think so, probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a bowling alley
Bowling alley in the
somewhere.
valley
There's a boba shop
with my name on it.
in Ventura that you're gonna
Oh yeah.
take over for the weekend. Have a big
Oh,
blowout.
were you
PPM
looking at my
25.
text messages already? That'd be fun.
There's
I
a
think
carrot co-op up in Carpinteria that sells
Yeah.
only organic carrots, and they have a tiny shack in the back of the field that'll fit
we're
5
gonna have
people.
a fest there.
We're gonna
It's
have
be awesome.
48 bands playing. Yeah, it's gonna go straight.
Yeah. Remember we were on tour with John Weiss, and I remember he's like, every restaurant we go into, I'd be like, this place is cool. They can have a show here. He's like, every place we go into.
Where can people go buy PPM records?
You can go to postpresentmedium.com, or what is it? Bandcamp.postpresentmedium.com or postpresentmedium.bandcamp.com.
All right, there'll be a link there'll be a link down in the show description.
Everybody or go to your record store, you know.
Oh yeah, local record stores.
Pick up some stuff.
Yep. Oh man. Okay, we got cut off there at the end. I think Anthony Berryman. I remember. Yeah, we did those interviews back to back, and Anthony popped in right at the end of Dean's interview. So I think I chopped off a little bit there, but got the PPM records plug in there. Go buy some PPM records. Thank you, Dean, once again for spending time talking about the smell, coming on the Hyphenate pod. Thank you everybody for coming in. If you have memories of the smell or just want to get in touch with me, talk about other memories you had. Maybe you have memories of the local DIY all ages place that you played. You can write me Hyphenate halftime. Jeez. No, I gotta get this right. Hyphenate halftime@gmail.com. There we go. Or you can find me on Instagram at Randy S. Randall, and make sure to rate and review this show. It helps people find the show. Tell your friends if you enjoy this kind of thing. If you're a No Age fan, if you're a smell fan, if you're a weird music fan, and you have friends that are also weirdos like you, then you should tell them that this thing exists and that I talk to weirdos. And it's fun. And it's a good podcast. Tell people that, even if you don't think it. Just go tell it to them. They won't know. At least they'll listen once, and we'll get some kind of algorithmic bump, right? That's the algorithmic jazz of it all. Be well, be good, be a thorn in the side of fascists everywhere, over there, everywhere, any which way you can, any which way but loose. All right, see you next week.
It was like a movie. It was dark and it was small, and they were playing cool music. And I mean, I was like 15 or something.